Well, it's been a good year for tech. It's been coming online in terms of both hardware developments and sort of continued sort of growth of their digital manufacturing capabilities, as well as, of course, the big boom in internet. So this was the biggest year ever for Singles Day, sort of the world's largest online shopping event. I think there were over 60,000 international brands represented this year. So that was big, and then continued growth in pretty much every aspect of the online economy, whether we're talking about finance or tourism or healthcare.
China's tech sector has largely shifted from imitator to innovator. Has China shed its copycat image abroad?
Well, I think it's a work in progress because China, of course, still produces a lot of, let's say, low, medium value kind of goods. I mean, there are very few places in the world that, besides China, for example, that manufacture Christmas tree lights. But at the same time, China is also producing some of the world's highest technology goods in machinery and even medical equipment. So I mean, at this point, I think we're moving along to a greater emphasis on innovation and higher value added, but there's still work to be done.
How and what has been the impact of companies like Baidu Alibaba, Tencent on China's economy?
Well, the BATJ, sometimes as people would refer to them, play a much bigger role in the digital economy than, say, other companies in other digital economies do. They fund up to 40% of all venture capital in the digital space. Alumni from BAT are responsible for maybe a third of the startups. So it's a very significant role. Plus the platform effect. These are super apps. And so on one app like a WeChat, you might find 90, 100 different applications living on this ecosystem. So it's both a way to get to marketplace, a source of funding, and a source of talent.
And what advantages do you think that these companies have over U.S. tech firms like Apple and Google?
Well, I think the capacity to get to marketplace quickly, this platform is definitely something that is a strength of these Chinese digital companies. Plus, I think they have a special advantage in their marriage to hardware. And China, as a manufacturing powerhouse, gives them the opportunity to explore new ways of developing new services, whether it's drone delivery for retail or medical devices. So those are a couple of the unique characteristics of China, plus finally a government that is basically supportive of innovation and sort of wants to see these companies innovate and in fact is a big consumer of innovative technology itself.
China's share of global R&D accounts for about 20%. The U.S.'s has gone down from 33 to 27%. Some of that might be a reflection of a change in commitment to innovation in the U.S. and also in China. How are we seeing that playing out in China?
Well, China's had, of course, a big boom in R&D centers and development, which is both government but largely privately led, including a lot of multinationals building R&D centers for China, but also for global markets. And I think that reflects in many ways the talent push that China has. Certainly graduates more STEM graduates than any other country in the world. Still, the quality of those STEM graduates, you can argue they're still lagging. But it's a great source of talent essentially, and that's kind of what I see the R&D push being led partially by that and partially by market. Simply put it, the Chinese consumer market is is perhaps the best consumer story in the world today, and so our innovation for that marketplace is a powerful pull.
Do you think it's significant that some of that talent, some of that R&D, some of that tech is going beyond these first-tier cities? We see rapid development in Kunshan. The fact that Apple opened up its R&D facility is opening up in Suzhou. What type of impact is that happening, and is that notable?
Well, it's very important for China to spread its development beyond the three big coastal cities, and if otherwise we'll have an increasingly unequal society. So helping these smaller interior, sub-satellite cities maybe, but develop their own research capability, their own value added, their own employment at the end of the day. I mean, that's really important for China, the society. And I also think for companies, it gives them an opportunity to sort of have a complementarity. You can do stuff in a smaller city that you might not have, it might be too expensive to do in a bigger city. So this is kind of the model, is to help the smaller cities develop so they complement the scale of the bigger cities.
Are they playing catch up to the U.S.'s Silicon Valley? Can we expect to see a Chilicon Valley?
Well, I think we already kind of do in a lot of different parts of the country. And I think, also for that matter around the world, that the recognition that technology develops in clusters. And so you need some proximity effects, whether it's Silicon Valley or Route 128 or now Zhongguancun in Beijing or Zhangjiang in Shanghai. They'll all be their own kind of technology cluster. I think the Asian ones will be particularly dense, and they might be bigger just in terms of numbers of people, but they'll have some common characteristics.